when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Those who are viewing us, want to say thank you for staying tuned to Tobago Updates Morning Show. I am your host, Renessa Ortiz. I want to say to those of you viewing us regionally, internationally, locally on AMPLIA, Flow, Digicel, I want to say thank you for staying tuned with us. I am joined this morning by none other than Alex Brown. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning, Renessa. How was your weekend?
My weekend was uneventful.
Uneventful?
Yes, it was uneventful. I just took the time. I took the time to just really relax and reset for the new week ahead.
Good morning, viewers. We hope that you had a really good weekend and you're looking forward to a very productive week.
Viewers, we head on over to news in 90 seconds. Your news in 90 seconds starts now for Monday, April 20th, 2026. Tobago motorsport history was written this weekend as hundreds gathered at Cano Bay for the first ever legal 1/8 mile street drag race in T&T. Hosted by the Tobago Motorsport Association, the Ultimate 660 saw real street cars and local drivers legally competing, marking a massive milestone for the island's sporting culture. A deeply troubling discovery in Kumuto this weekend as police investigate the illegal burial of 56 bodies. The remains, which include 50 infants and 6 adults, were found in Kumuto Cemetery. Most adults had morgue identification tags, leading authorities to suspect the unlawful disposal of unclaimed corpses. Forensic analysis is underway to hold those responsible for this indignity accountable. A nationwide security response is in effect following a deadly breach at the San Fernando Municipal Police Station. WPC Anusha Eversley was found murdered inside the station early Sunday morning. Over 50 Glock pistols, shotguns, and 3,000 rounds of ammunition were stolen from the armory. 2 municipal officers are assisting with investigation. And finally, if you're flying between the islands starting Friday, April 24th, domestic passengers at Piaco will now be redirected to a unified all-gate system with more dining and shopping options, but with strict limits of 100 milliliters of liquid and gels in carry-ons. And that was your news in 90 seconds. Tune in again at 6:30 p.m. for our full newscast. Alex, we've seen what happened over the weekend. We saw that breach at the San Fernando Police Station. We also saw the burial of the 50 infants. And
it's been a troubling weekend.
It has.
The first thing that troubled me about the issue of the bodies is the fact that people won't claim the bodies of loved ones. That's troubling for whatever reason it would be done. And then the way that the disposal was attempted, the burial was attempted, it's just so unlike who I think we are as a people. Probably I have a very, very misguided notion as to who we are.
50 infants, Alex.
50 infants.
50.
It raises to my mind a question of the reality of our infant mortality in the country. Over what period did we have these? Because it appears as though they were all from one general funeral home. How does one funeral home end up with 50 infant bodies? We need a lot of answers.
Yes.
We do need a lot of answers.
Because that is deeply troubling.
Very, very troubling. And then we had this crazy breach, and I'm putting it as mildly as I can, of the San Fernando Municipal Police Station. We had one officer lost her life, and then so many firearms stolen. Just thinking about
the amount of firearms that are now on the street.
We don't know in whose hands they are.
Whose hands they are in. What that would lead up in the next few days, in the next few weeks.
This is very, very unsettling. And while I hear the Prime Minister saying, well, it was an internal failure, and so there's no need for a curfew.
But we're under SOE.
If we could have done that under a state of emergency,
what would a curfew really do?
At least it may make it difficult for those who now have these firearms in their possession to move around freely. But I'm no expert in this field, so.
We'll get to dive into that today based on the conversations we have lined up on the rundown. But before we get into that, we head on over to the celebratory segment of our mornings. We head on over to our birthday shout-outs. First up on the list, we have Kerry Johnson from her best friend Abby Taylor and Nana. We hope you have a bright and beautiful day today, that you spend it celebrating the life that you have had over the past few years and thinking about what you want to do going forward in this new year of life.
Next on this morning's birthday list, Eric Kwashi. We hope that you have a really good birthday. It starts the week, so we're trusting that you celebrate all week and you do so in moderation so that you'll have a productive week and that it begins a year of productivity and the blessings from the Most High. Happy birthday, Eric.
Up next, we have Shamika Trim Frederick, wishing you all God's richest blessings on your life going forward in this new year, and that you take the time today to reflect and to truly spend it with those who cherish and appreciate you, and that you feel all the love pouring out to you today. Happy birthday to you.
And finally on the list, we say happy belated birthday to Kerwin John. We hope that you had a really good birthday and that your new year begins with lots of favor from Almighty God. Happy belated birthday to you.
And there you have it for our birthday shout-outs this morning. We want to say happy birthday to those of you who did not make it on our lineup. Ensure that you send all your information to us here at Tobago Updates so that we can celebrate with you. Now, Alex, we're heading on into the rundown. What do we have in store for viewers this morning?
Well, we have an interesting mix. First up, we'll be talking about that breach at the San Fernando Municipal Police Station. We'll be talking with former Minister of National Security, Gary Griffith, about that. Then we talk about Medical Professionals Week, and Jamila Archer will be with us and we'll talk about medical technicians and medical laboratory technicians rather, and the contributions they make to our healthcare system. And we'll round it off with the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, and they will regularly come in and share with us tips for safety. This morning we're talking safety tips for delivery drivers. Viewers, you won't want to miss any of these interviews.
And there you have it, viewers. Remember to stay tuned here at Tobago Updates. When we come back, we'll be heading into all of these conversations. Remember to share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
Hi everyone, I'm Marissa Benin. Coming up, Jamaica, here we come. These women of vision are on a mission. Ride the waves and savor the flavor, otherwise known as spending quality time in Antigua and Barbuda. Fun times, plus the food that sets St. Kitts and Nevis apart, all available under one roof. Cue the entertainment and the food. It's Chinese Spring Festival time. It's all next on this station.
Baby, when you whine on me, somebody get the phone, go the telephone. I get wet. I get wet. I get wet. I'm looking all through the party. I hope I find you there.
Our world is filled with rhythm. Rhythm that's unapologetic, infectious, timeless. Rhythm is commitment in action. It's how we show up for each other with unrelenting support that goes the distance. Rhythm lives in the tiny beats of our most intimate moments and the seismic roars of our biggest achievements. Rhythm is resilience in motion. So even when things go out of sync, we do what it takes to bring the rhythm back. At Flow, we understand your rhythm because we live it. That's why we're dedicated to building a network as resilient as you. with a team of familiar faces working every day to keep you on beat. You're at the heart of everything we do, and our commitment is to keep your rhythm flowing, no matter what.
Are you in a dispute with a registered investment service provider of the TTSEC? Or maybe you're the victim of an investment scam? You can lodge a complaint or submit an anonymous tip to the Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission. Download our Investor Protection app or go to ttsec.org.tt to access our complaint form or submit an anonymous tip. Write a clear summary of your complaint. Submit copies of supporting documents along with the originals for verification. Provide a copy of the feedback received from the entity regarding your complaint. All investor complaints or scam reports submitted by the public are acknowledged and reviewed by the TTSEC. Investigations are pursued based on the outcome of the review. Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission, protecting the interests of investors and the public. You invest, we protect. Everyone benefits.
Trinidad is my home, and I always say charity begins at home. So I'm just delighted to bring this team of dedicated volunteers. Part of our motto is that we just don't send relief. We hand deliver it with care and compassion. And as I would always tell my team, the best way to find oneself is to lose oneself in the service of others.
Be viewing Caribbean Medical TV on this station.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Viewers, welcome back. As promised before the break, we're heading into conversations this morning with former Minister of National Security, Gary Griffith, and we're talking about the breach in security at the San Fernando Police Station. Good morning and welcome to you, Mr. Griffith.
Hi, good morning to you and to your many viewers.
Good morning. Now, Mr. Griffith, this situation is evolving rapidly, and we're now hearing that officers have been detained as part of the investigation into this breach at the San Fernando Municipal Police Station. An officer is dead, weapons are missing, and this all unfolded during a state of emergency. How do you interpret what we're seeing currently?
Well, obviously, it has been a very difficult period for our country. This has been littered with this situation. A few hours later, we had 4 persons shot at Lady Young Road, close to a police station. We have other incidents with children being killed. We found 50 bodies unaccounted for. So there's been a very difficult period. But now is not the time for finger pointing. Now is not the time for us to be utilizing this as an opportunity to be attacking the other sides. I mean, it reaches ridiculous as social media activists in the government try to blame the mayor of San Fernando for it. I mean, that doesn't solve the problem. My take has always been to find solutions rather than to do finger pointing. It reached a point, even our government minister, Philip Alexander, this man jumps on the thing and starts attacking the opposition because of a situation of tragedy. He does this all the time, whether it was Andrea Barrett, whether it was Paria disaster. We don't need persons in that whole official positions or any politician on either side to be using this as an avenue to say, this is our opportunity to get back at you. What is required is for us to be calm and to be able to find a way to find solutions. I agree with the Prime Minister's comment that it is not a period for a curfew, but by her stating that, it means that she's fully aware that the pressure is mounting because the country, as much as the Commissioner of Police continues to use the numbers to say, look, crime is going down, the country has never felt as fearful as they are now. So because the perception and fear of crime is just as great of a concern as crime itself. In this situation, what we've seen now is that the criminal elements have proven now that they are so brazen, there is no fear factor, there's no concern about a deterrent, there's no concern about consequences for them to do what they did. Many people will say, well, listen, we've seen this in other countries, but not Trinidad and Tobago. The last time we'd have seen this was in probably 1990. That's how serious this is. We need to find ways to rectify the situation. And that is where I spend more time trying to find solutions rather than finger pointing. This situation should not have taken place. And I recall a few years ago when a prime minister foolishly was attacking me for me trying to shut down police stations. We have more police stations in Trinidad and Tobago to secure 1.5 million people than in New York City that secures 10 million people daily. That because politicians love every corner you want to build a police station. The more police stations you have, the more police officers have to man the station, so less police officers are out on the streets to protect you. And it enhances the vulnerability of these stations because now they can be isolated posts where they may not have the proper numbers to secure. That is what we need to change. Added to which we did not have a proper emergency response mechanism. To hear that cameras were actually shut off at that municipal police station, it shows that if it is that we had a proper national operations center, which was something I established several years ago, immediately the NOC would have picked up that the cameras were switched off to have an immediate response. But these criminal elements were so brazen. What they did, we are hearing based on initial reports, that is not just a hit and grab weapons. They were involved in actually possible assault of the officer, and that shows that they didn't even care and had a concern that there would be some degree of confrontation by a response unit. If criminals have reached at that point, similar to the Lady Young situation where 4 persons were shot in very close proximity to the police station, it shows now that the criminal elements are not fearful. And finally, and we had a big concern of this is the enemy within. As the Prime Minister again rightly stated, this involves possible law enforcement officials. That is very dangerous. That is exactly what caused my issue with the previous government, where they foolishly accepted rise by rogue elements in the police service because they wanted me out because I was dealing with just that. That rogue element situation is a very serious concern. If you have that enemy within, it can do a lot to affect national security.
Permit me to ask you, as you mentioned, because earlier you spoke of the perception of crime being as real as crime itself. And now you're discussing what there is a very significant perception, especially in this matter, that this would have originated on the inside. How do we address the issues of the perception of crime and that the growing perception, especially in the last few years, where we're seeing more and more police officers being arrested and charged with criminal offenses? How do you propose we should address the growing perception that the criminal element and law enforcement more and more are appearing to be one and the same?
Yeah, sure. Many people may not like him, but when after I left the army and I started getting into national security from being a national security advisor and security minister, I looked at the concept of that New York model with Mayor Rudy Giuliani and then Commissioner Bernard Kerik. They reduced crime in the mid-90s and they reduced crime drastically. But police officers were still known as pigs. The perception and fear of crime was still there, even though there was a 58% reduction in violent crime. And the same thing is happening now. So you're using a state of emergency. A state of emergency will always reduce crime because it's the easiest way to be able to just incarcerate all the people who are shooters, criminals, drug lords, gang leaders, questionable elements, incarcerate them so they can't commit crime. We'll see the statistics and then we blow our trumpet. That's what the commissioner is doing. It's not going to work. So even though they keep pushing the fact, oh, look at it, crime is going down, look at the stats. People are fearful. They are fearful of crime. It's two totally different things. The role and function of a commissioner is not just to reduce crime, but to take away the perception and fear of crime. And likewise, the government, that is their role and function. Those in authority seem not to understand that. So the more you keep pushing, but look, crime is going down, where the average citizen is seeing police stations being raided, police officers being killed, multiple murders, children being killed, kidnappings returning, extortion, home invasion. The average citizen is not feeling safe. Then you're stating, we are allowing you to stand your ground. And then the commissioner of police is stating, I am not giving you all a gun. Forget about that. All of these things is what will cause national concern. And again, it goes right back to trying to find ways to deal with the rogue elements in the police service. So even though I started pushing heavy measures to reduce crime, my first year, the murder rate was over 500 because I inherited total nonsense. I had to revamp the police service. But even that first year, the perception and fear of crime drastically reduced because people started seeing things. So that is what is required. That's my recommendation. Those in authority need to find solutions, recommendations, whether it be units, policies, technology, systems, programs, Nothing has been done in the last year. There have been a 3-point crime plan in the last year, state of emergency, and then after they will point 2 will be a state of emergency, and if that doesn't work, a state of emergency. That has been it. There's not been no new unit, technology, system, program, policy, nothing. Because again, the commissioner and the minister, remember, they were middle management, so they do not have that ability to understand 21st century policing, predictive policing, intelligence-driven policing, the type of technology systems available, how you do the use of a national operations center. So because of the lack of that, the checks and balances are not there. Rogue elements continue to be brazen. When you see a point of police officers riddling a car like a strainer, and the Commissioner of Police and the Welfare Association foolishly says, I see no reason to take action on these officers. Those are the things that affect public confidence. And until you try to deal with the enemy within the police service and try to show that we intend to do customer service training, public relations, polygraph testing, drug testing of police officers, we're going to transfer them, which is the things that I would have done. Until you do that, the public is going to believe that there are rogue elements in the police service who cannot be controlled, and you are allowing it to happen. In addition, when you have the concern, you call 999, they put you on hold for 45 minutes. You ask for a police response, you get in a police vehicle, turning up 45 minutes later. You're not going to see police vehicles, you're not seeing visibility, because when last has anyone in this country ever seen police on the road trying to deal with traffic congestion? Never. It has stopped over the last 3 years. Now the only time you see police on the streets is to stop you to check for a tint and driver's permit. This takes away public trust and confidence. This takes away the public wanting to help the police. This takes away, and it increases the fear. So it seems that those in authority have no understanding in how to deal with reduction of the perception and fear of crime. Their whole concern is, let's have a SOE, lock up those people who may commit the crime. We will see the stats low, and we will try to influence the public that we are doing the right thing. That's only half of the problem. The other half has to do with the perception and fear of crime. What has happened this weekend? That has reached a very high level, and those in authority need to understand how to diminish that perception and fear of crime.
Has described this incident as a one-off situation, but when you hear that officers are now being detained, does that still hold?
Well, again, if it is that the police can very well solve this matter, arrest those who would have been involved in this act, and recover the weapons, it is definitely a step in the right direction. It means now that you have been able to solve the problem, but you have not rectified it in that other situations like this would continue. If it is that this can be done in an effective manner, it can provide a possible deterrent for other elements, because as I said, there are rogue elements in the police service, not much, and they affect the whole image of the police service. So you have, I recall there were about 250 police officers with overtime corruption, $100 million a year, saying they work in 24 hours a day, 30 days a month. That was corruption. You couldn't charge the people because senior officers were signing for it. We had police officers based on intelligence controlling drug blocks, using police vehicles to escort criminal elements. That's why we put GPS tracking on all the police vehicles. That's why we monitored their area of responsibility. All of that was removed. So if it is that those in authority can actually crack this case, bring those persons to justice, recover those missing weapons, it is a step in the right direction. But it is a small step. There's a lot that needs to be done to build back that public trust and confidence. And again, I will not in any way, if anybody feels that I am ever going to turn and be negative to the police service, I would not. That serves no purpose. My objective as a citizen of this country, as a patriot, is to ensure that we can feel comfortable, we can feel safe. And by attacking and demonizing the police service is not what I intend to do. I think we have some of the best police officers in the world. These were the same police officers before people condemn me for what I'm stating, because everybody's attacking the police now. These were the same officers just a few years ago that you all trusted, where public trust was 60%. So don't knock the police officers. It's a small element of criminal elements in the police service that we need to extract, which is why I started pushing polygraph testing, drug testing. So if it is that they can, as I said, solve this problem, bring those persons to justice, it is a step in the right direction, but they need to do much more.
There's another question that came to my mind as you were speaking, Mr. Griffith. How do we view something like this happening, where an officer who, for all we know at this point, was just doing her duty, is killed in what seems to be an internal attack? How do you think this is going to impact recruitment in the police service later? Do I tell my children that it's okay to become a police officer, and for them to tell me, look, police officers seem to be killing one another. I can't trust them for my safety. I'm not going to be. How do we see something like this impacting possible recruitment later on?
Well, it can very well do so, because if it is that people believe that police officers, there are rogue elements, it's not something that people look up to, it's not a thing that the citizens will trust. The average parent will try to influence their children not to become police officers or soldiers or whatever. Since my son was born, I always wanted him to be a soldier, and thankfully now he is going to follow in my footsteps, hopefully. Even when I was commissioner of police, that was the last position anyone wanted. By the time I left as commissioner of police, any school I went to, I said, who wants to be a police officer or soldier? The majority will then put their hand, because what I started doing was transforming the image of the police service to be one that you are there to protect and serve with pride. It is the most noble of all professions. No profession could be so noble where you're willing to give your life for that of your country. It is the ultimate aspect of patriotism. Those are the things that need to be injected back into the country for people to understand the importance of police officers. I lost 30 police officers during my tour of duty during COVID, because these officers refused to stay home. They went out there, they had to interact with the public, and they died. And the previous government did not have the common courtesy to even thank the police for their duty. So it is a sometimes a thankless position. When you go to the United States, the first thing you have, when you go to SeaWorld, when you go on a flight, those persons who are of military service, please enter first. We wish to thank you for your service. That is what we need. We need to inject that degree of pride to understand what law enforcement officials do on a daily basis. When they leave their homes, you're not sure if they're coming back. Whilst at the same time, we need to get that image that is being blurred now by the average citizen to say police officers are corrupt, police officers they're not good, they're just here to harass me and to look for a tint on my driver's permit. That has to change. And that is what I did with transforming the police service, by customer service training, public relation, putting systems, as I said, polygraph testing, drug testing, making sure police officers are easily accountable. When I put that 482, Gary, any police officer that abuses authority on the street, cursing a female, being arrogant, obnoxious, immediately you will be at my office 6 o'clock in the morning, and I will speak to every officer. Why did you do that? This is what. So with that, it transformed the whole police service. Every officer knew that there were consequences. That has all been lost. Nobody could contact this commissioner of police. In fact, he's blocked half of the media on WhatsApp. He doesn't want to speak to anyone. Same with the Minister of Homeland Security. That is not the way to deal with the problem. We need to find systems to lift the performance of police service, make them accountable, ensure that we can measure their performance, and by doing that, it will inject back into the citizens and young persons to say that, yeah, I want to wear a uniform.
We now have firearms and ammunition unaccounted for, with indications that they have already been moved. What is the immediate priority for law enforcement in a situation such as this?
Well, again, as I said, when you look at the last time we had a situation of this would have been the attempted coup. It is hoped that this year is a wake-up call to the Commissioner of Police, who spends all his time trying to demonize persons with legal firearms, speaking about an individual who has 6 firearms. All the people he spoke about that have legal firearms, not one of the people he spoke about, because of his concern that they have more than one firearm, used it in a criminal manner or an illegal manner. In fact, somebody who had a few firearms, it allowed the wife to be able to protect herself from that same individual and her children. So when it is, you look at the number of negligent discharges, weapons being lost, weapons being used in the wrong manner, more of that has taken place by law enforcement than by firearm holders who are civilians. Yet this commissioner and others before and after me have demonized and found any excuse under the sun not to give law-abiding citizens firearms. It is hoped that this becomes a wake-up call to the commissioner and starting to understand that you have a bigger problem with rogue elements in the police service and more problems with firearms within law enforcement than those who are civilians. Had this taken place in a private security company, you would have not heard the end of it by this commissioner of police, because it seems that this has been, they actually did a video to show 4 incidents involving citizens having legal firearms. One had a negligent discharge, one used it in some other manner. 4 incidents out of over 10,000 firearm related incidents over the last few years, and you want to focus on that rather than look at where the problem lies. So with this situation, we need, again, and let me finally add on that, it goes back to my point when I said initially a previous prime minister was attacking me because I spoke about trying to find a way to diminish the number of police stations. Every street corner, politicians want to build a police station. That is not how you reduce crime. The more police stations mean less police officers out in the streets. The less police stations, it means you can amalgamate the numbers, make sure the station is secure. When it is you put police posts at every street corner, and especially in isolated places, it allows the criminal elements to know we can infiltrate this. And this happens. It happened in Guyana recently. It happens in Jamaica, in Haiti. We should not point ourselves to say, let us look at what those other countries are, so it's not a problem with here in Trinidad and Tobago. We must never let this happen again. And I personally, it's the same thing I said as Commissioner of Police. We do not need to have, how you could have more police stations to secure 1.5 million than another place that has 10 million people. It shows that it's a banana republic system. We love to build a police station at every corner. That was probably one of the main reasons that caused this situation. And additionally, we do not have a proper system of a national operations center whereby we can immediately, as those cameras were switched off, the NOC would have triggered it and sent an immediate response. That was not done. If those things are done, it will reduce the possibility of a reoccurrence of this situation.
Mr. Griffith, there's been on more than one occasion a seeming pulling and tugging, as it were, between the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service and the Police Complaints Authority in terms of investigations into incidents involving police officers. Even in the wider society, there seem to be those among citizens who would say, yes, there needs to be some independent, non-police, directly aligned body who should look into these things, and there are others who think otherwise. What's your view in terms of whether the PCA or any other, an independent body who can give what in my view would be a second pair of eyes, as it were, into incidents where the police is in any way compromised? How do you view this in terms of how we, one, address crime that would involve rogue police officers, as well as create some level of trust and confidence in the society that if there are criminal incidents that involve police officers, the investigations will be clean and thorough?
Yeah, sure. Well, I have to run off in a few minutes for another interview, but what you hit the nail on the head. It is not going to happen, unfortunately, with the present Minister of Homeland Security. He has made it abundantly clear he doesn't want any type of extra authority for the Police Complaint Authority. And it shows his ignorance and understanding. These are the things that are going to increase public trust and confidence in the police service. These are the things that's going to reduce the perception and fear of crime. As Commissioner of Police, every month I met with the PCA director, listened to all the files they wanted, listened to all the things they needed. He asked that if it is, we can do a protocol that as soon as there's a police shooting, they must be immediately involved. I did that. He asked if it is that arrangements can be made at any time there's a police shooting, they would like to have access to the crime scene. I made it known. I provided them with all the data, the documents, and you know, people will say, oh God, Gary's a sellout, or how we can do that to the police. If there are rogue elements in the police service, I needed them out. I needed to get rid of them. And if it is that they were wrongfully accused, the PCA will be the ideal opportunity to show, hey, this man was cleared by an external arm of the police service. That is why in so many police departments in the United States, they are so effective, because you have that IAB, that internal affairs, where you have persons who have investigative capacity, but also the authority to arrest and charge. And by doing that, it will make sure that no police officer in any precinct, station, department can feel that they are a law unto themselves. We have a situation here in Trinidad and Tobago where a police officer will be involved in something and his batch is going to investigate him. It makes no sense. There's going to be cover-up. There's also going to be the other avenue where a police officer knows that I have the authority based on where I am, that I can now charge that guy. If I will just make up something, charge him because I want to get promoted ahead of him. It is madness. It is a banana republic concept. And the only way this can be rectified is by the PCA having the type of powers similar to the internal affairs, where the PCA cannot just be a toothless bulldog giving information to the police after they do the investigation for the police to decide. No, they must have the authority to say, hey, we have enough information here and that we can now put as evidence to charge you. If we do that, it is going to play a very big part towards cleaning up the police service.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this morning, but we certainly thank you for joining us and sharing, quite some interesting perspectives on how we can address not only the immediate issue at hand, but challenges with crime in this country as a whole. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us.
My pleasure.
Up next, we have Woman Sergeant Tracy Ann Duncan, and we're going to be talking about safety tips for delivery drivers. Remember to share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
Office looking professional.
Hello?
Hey, bandit!
Is this Charles and Charles Inc.? I'm your new receptionist.
Oh, yes. Welcome, welcome. This is Charles and Charles.
So you're Charles?
And Charles.
Okay then. Well, I see you're ready for business.
Oh, yes, yes. I have my favorite photo, my desk, and a spot for George.
George?
On the doubles, man. Have my marriage certificate, my cow certificate, my divorce certificate.
Tax certificate?
Taxi? No, I used to pull bull.
No. Tax certificate.
Tax? Yes, I had one of that in the last office, you know, but I lost it. No, wait, I had one in my mother's house, but I think the cow eat it.
Look, Mr. Charles.
And Charles?
Do you pay your taxes? It is critical to your business. You should call Anderson in Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah, they provide tax and accounting services, and their corporate secretarial services. The best.
Really? How you know?
Well, my last boss lost his whole business and I lost my work.
Oh.
You know, there's a tax amnesty going on now.
Really? So I can pay all my back taxes?
And don't forget to call Anderson so you could save your business and I could keep my work. Oh God, no. This picture has got to go.
This is how it's gonna go. They better look up and look, 'cause this is your show, and everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. They better look up and look. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show.
Welcome to Tobago Glass Supplies Limited, where innovation meets excellence and the service reigns supreme. Our commitment is simple: to provide high-quality, innovative aluminum, vinyl, and glass solutions for both commercial and residential spaces. At TGSL, we don't just meet needs, we exceed expectations. Our range includes the finest aluminum cladding options, setting new standards in durability and style. Driven by our passion to elevate, we aim to be the leading supplier in the Caribbean market while retaining our identity as a family-owned business. Because at Tobago Glass Supplies Limited, it's not just about products. It's about relationships, it's about you. Innovation, quality, service. That's Tobago Glass Supplies Limited.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
You're viewers, welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. As promised before the break, we're talking with Woman Sergeant Tracy and Duncan, and this morning we're talking safety tips for delivery drivers. Good morning, Sergeant Duncan, and welcome.
Good morning to you and to the viewing public.
All right. We have just spoken with former Commissioner, former Minister of National Security, and we were discussing issues of crime, but we're talking safety, and often we tend to miss that the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service plays an important role in the safety of the citizen. Sometimes only when an actual criminal act takes place we realize it is not just loss of property, but there's also physical and personal safety that's involved. We've seen in the past delivery drivers being physically assaulted. Some have even met their demise. And we want to talk this morning about their own safety. How does the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service approach safety recommendations for delivery drivers?
Yes, well, the TTPS is committed to trying to be preventative as opposed to reactive. And so, before I could get to that question, if I may just share with the viewing public some of the activities that the Tobago Division has been engaged in the past few weeks under the Operation Steady Guard. And this is to guarantee that in the Tobago space, we maintain a proactive approach and ensure that we have a steady grip on the crime situation in Tobago. And if I could share some good news,
sure.
If I could share some good news, we have been experiencing a lot of break-ins. It has been that's our pet peeve crime. And on Tuesday 14th, we had 3 persons sentenced in the Tobago courts for larceny and breaking offenses.
And before you go on, I want to underscore this as good news, because often there's a complaint from the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service that when a crime occurs, we do the investigation, we do the arrests, people are taken before the courts and things seem to fall apart there. And so we want to just marinate in that a little bit, the fact that we've had people sentenced, because sometimes that seems to be a challenge that we face in terms of our whole addressing of crime in Trinidad and Tobago. The fact that when people are brought before the court, the system seems to fail the society. And I think this is one of the times when the system has not failed us, and we should really celebrate that.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And so we also recovered, there was also a firearm recovered. This is very recent, just last night, under the same Operation Steady Guard. And news of that will be forthcoming. I do not have all the details, but I know for certain.
Updates, ladies and gentlemen.
I know for certain that a firearm has been retrieved last evening, and that we do have at least 1 person in custody, which, you know, we always celebrate if we get the firearm and a perpetrator. So with all that has been happening, I am happy to bring good news this morning.
We're thankful for good news.
And so as we move to the point of the safety tips for the delivery drivers, all right, we have a few. And, you know, crimes that could befall delivery drivers, oftentimes they are crimes of opportunity, what we call crimes of opportunity. So to safeguard yourself, right, the tips for the delivery drivers are: 1, and you can interject at any point that you would like. So you verify your delivery information. That is, you ensure all the customer details, name, contact number, right? Verify that this address even exists. Sometimes, you know, if you are being led to danger, you could find yourself having to look and somebody's looking at you, right? And so you verify your address, you avoid high-risk delivery areas, right? Isolated locations or areas that, you know, maybe poorly lit. Some of these delivery drivers, they work late into the night. And so last-minute address changes, yeah, avoid that. Sometimes you make the arrangement and the meet was to be somewhere, and then all of a sudden they want you to meet another place. It's a flag. Approach that with caution. Where it is possible, try to avoid cash transactions at locations. If it is that you can implement non-cash ways of receiving payments, if you are collecting cash on delivery, you know, establish clear procedures, right, and limit the amount of cash that your drivers carry. Another point, maintain real-time communication with your couriers. This is for the company, the managers, your couriers who are out there doing the work. Maintain communication with them to ensure. And you can also have your drivers put GPS systems in the vehicles, tracking or checking systems, so that you could have an idea where your couriers are at any given time. When it comes to hiring persons, make sure that you vet your employees well. We do not need to say why, right? A lot of crimes happen internally where persons know your system, understand your operation, and so that makes it easier for them to penetrate and cause damage, right? I say this with sadness. So vetting of couriers, you could have the police willing to assist with that, right? Ensure that persons get a certificate of character at least. This is where the police would have to come to the police station, the fingerprints get rolled, and so that from our checks we can establish whether they have any history of crime or criminal activity. Yes? Establish emergency procedures, right, for your couriers to follow in the event of a threat, or if they encounter what they feel like to be a suspicious situation. Preparation. So if it is that you have a protocol and that they went through a procedure, you would find that in a situation they would not panic. They would not be flustered. They would have in mind what they were trained to do. Yes? Encourage them to be situationally aware. And when we say situationally aware, we mean sometimes the attempt at crime may come as a distraction. It may come as, you know, just looking around and realizing something feels wrong here. That gut instinct. Yes? And, you know, these are the tips that we have for today, right? Because the safety of your delivery personnel, you know, it is a shared responsibility. And if business owners, you know, can implement or make them aware of some of these tips, you know, we may be able to avoid situations that could make us very unhappy. All right, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, we remain committed to working with all the stakeholders to ensure the security and the well-being of our citizens.
Now, in your list of safety tips, you spoke about locations, try to stay away from high crime locations. But in the event that a delivery driver goes to a location that isn't deemed as high crime, what are some of the things that they can look for when they are arriving at a location? Is it that they should stay in their vehicles? What are some of the things that you think that they should do to ensure that they maintain safety?
Yes, you have one there. So you remain in your vehicle, and before you get to the point, you establish communication with the person who is to collect. Try to get a proper description, especially if it's not a neutral area. Get specifics. And when you get to an area, if you look and you see, okay, the street is a dead end, turn around first. turn around and face outwards. Do not switch off your vehicle. Keep your vehicle in a way that you can make a quick escape if necessary. Look for anything that might be able to block you and avoid that. You know, so you wouldn't park where if you want to swing out, a vehicle could block because I one there. If yes.
You know, you said it on my mind because usually when we think delivery drivers, we only think of those goods that supply, those vehicles that supply the supermarkets and so on, and we think of them as the one that carry cash. But you mentioned courier services and I thought from the perspective of, you know, we always order stuff online and some courier service delivers. And sometimes it may not be cash that is at risk, but items of value.
Yes.
And so it crossed my mind when you were talking about, you know, verifying locations, that we have a responsibility to offer a location that is safe. So if you know you live in an area where there's the risk, because your area itself may not be a high crime area from the perspective of the people who live there, but you may live in an area that is not the most developed, and so it presents an opportunity. Probably have them deliver it at work or, you know, somewhere that is less risky, because not only is the delivery driver at risk, you risk losing your goods if, you know, if that happens. So that crossed my mind as one of the things we can do as individuals to make sure that we contribute to the safety.
Indeed.
No, Sergeant Duncan, thank you so much for coming on and sharing the safety tips. To our viewers who are looking on, we hope that you take note of these tips as well. Those of you who are in the delivery and courier services, and as well as the individuals who receive the items from these services. Let us all play our part to ensure that we are all safe. Viewers, stay tuned. We'll be right back after the break. Remember to share the live, share the live, share the live.
The Caribbean is more than just a place. It's a spirit, resilient, vibrant, and full of possibility. Rooted in connection, driven by community. It's who we are and the heart of everything we do. For over 150 years, we've been right here, invested in the Caribbean, its people, and its progress. And today, we're going even further. Liberty Business, rooted in the Caribbean, committed to you.
Courts is well known as the Caribbean's largest retailer, providing consumers for generations with the very best products to enhance their homes. This year, we bring our expertise to businesses. Courts Business Solutions will serve small, medium, and large companies with the very best products at the most competitive prices, backed by warranties and after-sales support. Hoteliers, office managers, restaurants, and so many more. Courts Business Solutions, a brand of the Unicomer Group.
Hair goals, we've got them. At S&R Hair Fantasy, we provide a wide variety of quality hair, the latest hair accessories, adult toys, skin lightening products, female underwear, and much more under one roof. Check us out on Shelbourne Street in Plymouth or call us at 317-0808. We're open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. S&R Hair Fantasy, for queens who know exactly what they want.
Want to get better? Where to start? What kind of exercise to do? What to eat? How to get restful sleep? Need a doctor to search for root cause? Look no further. Come to Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center Foundation at our Wellness Center in Goodwood, or Food Hub in Darrow Springs, Scarborough, or Doctor's Office in Goodwood and Darrow Springs. Contact 49 Swift 4979 438.
said the elderly can't have fun too? We're talking good food, proper music, lots of games, and a day at the beach they will never forget. From the time we left the compound at Heavenly Care Home for the Elderly, the vibe was already established. Wheels up and seatbelts on. Watch now, when we touched down in Pigeon Point, everybody was ready for excitement. But before anything could take place, we had to secure bellies. You ever play bingo by the beachside? Well, that was the first activity on the roster, and boy did these seniors have fun. However, others wanted something more physical, so we brought out the ring toss, and not even arthritis could have stopped them. Well, I was blown away at how straight these people were. Are you sure this is a home for the elderly? Nothing beats a Jet 2 holiday, but nothing beats the song of Good Steel Pan by the shores while we take a dip in Tobago's finest water. Wait, more food again? This is my type of event. The energy was amazing and nothing short of a blessing. Big up Heavenly Care Home for the Elderly, because joy doesn't retire, laughter doesn't age, and memories like these last forever.
To a stranger.
The Caribbean is more than just a place. It's a spirit, resilient, vibrant, and full of possibility. It's who we are and the heart of everything we do. For over 150 years, we've been right here, invested in the Caribbean, its people, and its progress. And today, we're going even further. We're deepening our commitment to the region, continuing to invest in the networks, services, and digital solutions that move Caribbean businesses forward. Whether you are a mid-sized business or multinational player, we bring you resilient connectivity, personalized service, and tailored IT solutions, all powered by local teams that truly have your back. We're here to help you navigate challenges, grow, and achieve your goals with practical solutions, reliable networks, and a partnership rooted in trust and your long-term success. Liberty Business, rooted in the Caribbean, committed to you.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back. We're shifting gears and we're talking about Medical Laboratory Professionals Week. Here in studio we have Jamila Archer, Medical Laboratory Technician 2, and joining us virtually we have Daryl Liang. I hope I pronounced that correctly. You'll correct me if I'm wrong. We have Medical Laboratory Technician 1 from SWRHA. Good morning and welcome to you both.
Good morning and thank you. Hi.
Now, what is Medical Laboratory Professionals Week all about?
Well, worldwide, we would have started this in 1975. And worldwide, the technicians, we have medical laboratory assistants, medical technicians 1 and 2. We also have clinical pathologists that work alongside the lab. We would be celebrating Medical Laboratory Professionals Week. Is a week that it shows the recognition of the contributions of the medical laboratory professionals to the healthcare system and to the development of science worldwide.
Okay, tell us, probably you, Mr. Liam, medical technicians are not people that we quickly interface with in terms of primary healthcare, and most of us, that's where it ends until there's some major issue. What makes a medical laboratory technician or medical laboratory professional so important in the general scheme of healthcare?
Well, medical laboratory technicians and medical laboratory lab professionals are critical in the providing reasonable scientific evidence to help doctors diagnose patients. We provide high quality data necessary for physicians to make clinical decisions when it comes to patients. We assist in disease management. We help with the monitoring. So if a doctor issues a medication and they want to make sure the medication is working in the way it should, we test samples to determine the critical values for certain components in samples to ensure that patient treatment is effective.
Now, in light of Medical Laboratory Professionals Week, I'm assuming that you guys have activities planned for this week. What are some of the activities that you have in store?
Well, at the Scarborough General Hospital this year, we focused more internally. So yes, we do have activities planned, but we only have 1 or 2 open to the public. We definitely would have games, we definitely have lab quizzes, we have a coat decor competition at the SGH lab, and we'll have a virtual link for the Roxborough staff. And we also have a blood drive going on at the blood donor room, which is actually part of the lobby area of the laboratory. And that one is definitely open to the public. We want to encourage persons to come out and donate a unit of blood, because 1 unit of blood could possibly save 3 lives, right? We would also be having a lecture series at the laboratory, but that'll be catered, of course, to technicians, the topics. And also we will be encouraging 1 or 2 schools to come into the lab to get a tour and learn about the profession of medical laboratory technology.
Ed, you mentioned blood drive, and that was one of the things that was crossing my mind, whether we would have a blood drive. I'm trusting that there's one as well at the SWRHE. Tell us, Mr. Liam, or walk us through as quickly and as simply as you can the process of donating a unit of blood, because there are some people who are just terrified with the idea that they should give blood. So could you tell us a little bit about how that works? And tell us as well if there's a blood drive on your end.
Okay, so we are having a blood drive that is open to the public, as well as members or staff of the hospital, all categories of staff, including lab staff. That will be on Thursday, the 22nd of April, from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We encourage as many people to come out as possible, because blood donation is very critical in assisting with a lot of patients, especially in this region, the Southwest region, which covers majority of Trinidad, like almost 2/3 of like 600,000 plus patients in Trinidad we service from the country. So the process of donating blood is usually not a long process. It usually takes at maximum about an hour. We go through a screening process where they check your blood pressure, they check your weight, your body weight, ask you several questions about your physical health, about any medications you are on, any conditions you have. They also ask you about any piercings or any tattoos that you have taken in the last 3 months. So donating itself actually takes only about 10 minutes. So I work in the blood bank part of the lab, which is called immunohematology, and there where we receive the units from the donation room and we process them and we transform our unit of whole blood, which is what you donate in the donation room, into 3 components, into partially packed cells, plasma, and platelets, which are all critical for the patients of the San Fernando General Hospital and the country as a whole.
Okay, I must say that as a donor myself, I can verify all that you've said. But there are generally some myths about donating blood. And let me just pause to say, kudos to the staff at the blood bank at the Scarborough General Hospital. The longest time I wait is actually to get started. And that's sometimes because there are other people lined up ahead of, but generally 15, 20 minutes and I'm out. There are some myths associated with blood donations. Could you probably identify one or two and tell us the truth about those?
Sure. Most people think it takes long to donate. As you yourself being a donor, I'm also a donor. The process of donating blood usually takes about 10 to 15 minutes. Then you have a little waiting period where you're just supposed to relax, drink some fluids, they give you a snack to eat to make sure it asks you if you're feeling dizzy. And also, most people think if you have a piercing or a tattoo, you can't donate. But actually, you could, but it have to be, the piercing or tattoo can't be within the last 3 months, right? So also, some people think it hurts to donate blood, or that you feel sick after you donate blood. No, that is not true. The most thing that most people are probably afraid of is the needle itself, but I personally find the needle does not hurt a lot at all. Some people think you're only supposed to donate blood if you have a rare blood type. No, we want all types of blood, both Rh negative and Rh positive. We don't only want blood donors from rare blood groups. Some people think they might be too old to donate. No, before, a few years before, they had a cutoff age of 65, but now they say once you are in good health, or if you have any condition like high blood pressure or anything and it is well managed, you can be a donor. And also, some people think if you're on medication, you can't donate. No, you just have to provide a listing of all the medications you take to the nurses in the donor room, and they would let you know if you qualify to donate blood. Stuff like blood thinners and stuff for medication for blood pressure, all that is once within a certain amount of days, you can donate after taking your medication.
Come on, everybody, go out there and donate some blood.
Now, I want to thank you both for coming on this morning and sharing with us all that you have in store for the Medical Laboratory Professionals Week. We hope that we encourage all those citizens who are looking on to go and donate, and to thank you both for the work that you are doing and that you continue steadfast in your career.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So viewers, want to ask you to stay right here. We continue with GMT. Remember to share the live, share the live, share the live.
On GMT this morning, we talk with former Minister Marvin Gonzalez, and I'm sure you want to look forward to that. Stay tuned.
This is a true testament to the dedication of the villagers of the Boko Village Council to be able to put on this event for 98 years successfully. Is a testament of what we can do together as a people.
And they're off, ladies and gentlemen, a very fine start there by SOE. SOE is taking the lead, but make it a race up for it. Looks like High Beat looks like he's going to hit the finish line. High Beat to the line.
You have to be behind the crowd at all times. Behind the crowd, this is going to be able finished.
Set to racing for the classic. All runners come forward really nice in this one, as well as Most Wanted shows first. Also Nuclear Explosion coming at him now. Most Wanted and Nuclear Explosion. Get them ready. Most Wanted wins it from Get Them Ready. Then comes Little Lotus.
It was okay. It didn't get to what I wanted. I didn't get, but it was okay.
Thompson is one of the better goats and he didn't get a good start, but he just got a third. He got blocked and I was late in the start, but he came back third.
I'm most looking forward to the goat racing. I've never been goat racing before and I'm very excited.
Over the run for the derby. This is a fantastic start. Superstar gets a good start, as well as Feel the Heat and Sweet Cat. They come back. Superstar get an important size and Sweet Cat. Superstar and Sweet Cat. Superstar wins it from Sweet Cat. Stand like you see what I'm
That was a production of the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly.
You're viewing Tobago Updates Television, your exclusive gateway to Tobago, broadcasting the beauty of this island paradise to the world.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. I am your host, Chanel Felix. And ladies and gentlemen, you know, whenever you see me sitting here, it's because we're about to have those conversations that you want to have, but I ask those questions that you want asked. But before we get into this morning's interesting topics and conversations, let's have our news in 90 seconds. Motorsport history has been written this weekend as hundreds gathered at Cano Bay for the first ever legal 1/8 mile street drag race in Trinidad and Tobago, hosted by the Tobago Motorsport Association. The Ultimate 660 saw real street cars and local drivers legally competing, marking a massive milestone for the island's sport. Additionally, a deeply troubling discovery in Camuto this weekend as police investigates the illegal burial of 56 bodies. The remains, which include 50 infants and 6 adults, were found at the Camuto Cemetery. Most adults had morgue identification tags, leading authorities to suspect that the unlawful disposal of unclaimed corpses and the forensic analysis is on the way to hold those responsible for this indignity accountable. And finally, a nationwide security response is in effect following a deadly breach at the San Fernando Municipal Police Station. WPC Anushka Eversley was found murdered inside the station early Sunday morning. Over 50 Glock pistols, shotguns, and 3,000 rounds of ammunition were stolen from the armory. 2 municipal police are assisting with this investigation. And that was our news in 90 seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, this morning we jump straight ahead into our discussion, and I have the privilege this morning of chatting virtually with Senator Melanie Rajman. This morning, we will be touching on a number of topics that, you know, particularly as it pertains to national security concerns. So this morning, I want to welcome her to join us in this conversation. Good morning, Senator, and welcome.
Good morning, Ms. Felix, and thank you for having me. And good morning to all of our viewers online and on the television and around the world.
Right. Now, earlier in the year, I believe, or was it late last year? I'm not very sure of the time, but the Prime Minister made some statements. She called Trinidad and Tobago a lawless dump. And a number of persons came out and, you know, they were very angry and, you know, they felt as though these were statements that the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago should not be making about our country, and felt as though these disparaging remarks made us look quite terribly in the international context. But when we have incidences like the ones that we have seen happening over the weekend here in Trinidad and Tobago, does it lend some credence to those statements made by the Prime Minister?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Despite what is happening, we cannot, as leaders, as those responsible, as those in governance, refer to our nation as a lawless dump. There is no excuse or justification for such a statement. And let me add this, fish that's rotten from its head. So when we see the kind of concerns, the issues that's plaguing the island right now, we need to also look at the head. So if we are a lawless dump, then what does it say about those who are in charge, those who have been tasked to govern this nation? And let me just say this very quickly. This issue of crime, of criminality, and at this point is no longer an issue. It is a disaster of epic proportions. It's not one that I wish to politicize. We all live here. We all have to function here. We all have to operate businesses here. So it concerns all of us. What I will politicize, however, some of the policies, some of the steps taken by this government that would have led us to this place or that would have exacerbated the condition that we're already in. And also I will politicize the poor response, lack of a response thereof, the waving off and almost trivializing of what we are currently facing. This weekend was a traumatic one for the nation. It just seems like we were getting trauma after trauma, from the bodies being found in Kamuto to the inside murder of a municipal police officer and the heist of ammunitions. Clearly an armory was robbed. And then while we were still grappling with what was happening with that, we heard of a quadruple murder with one child being involved last evening. So it has been a lot for the nation to digest in one weekend. And I mean, we're adding that on top against the backdrop and on top of everything else that has been happening. And then we have seen where the Prime Minister has come with a very callous, almost dismissive social media post, just telling us, carry on as usual, nothing to be too alarmed about. It was just a municipal police officer, a little inside job, almost like it's petty mischief. That is very concerning to me. I do not see our nation as a lawless dump. I see us as a very hurting nation, a nation that needs some very clear and firm and maybe even radical action to be taken immediately to weed out certain elements. And I think that sort of action has to come from several levels. It will take a lot of political will, gut, and gumption, because I am not convinced that what we are seeing is isolated to just the average person on the street or the average person in the communities.
And we've heard from the Commissioner of Police and the Minister indicating that there still is confidence to be placed in the TTPS. After the weekend that we've just seen, do you think that this would have caused a heightened reduction in public trust and confidence in the police service in Trinidad and Tobago?
I'm glad you phrased it as a heightened lack of confidence, because the public already lacked confidence in the TTPS. Minister of Homeland Security, we already had so many questions and concerns where they're concerned, especially Minister of Homeland Security. And then given that sham of a press conference yesterday where we were left with zero reassurances, where we still have so many questions, I imagine that at this point, even if there was maybe a 20% confidence level, that we are zero at this point. It's gotten worse.
And even as it pertains to the Commissioner of Police, Mr. Guerrero, and the Minister for Homeland Security, persons are currently calling for them to resign. Do you think that what we have seen is or warrants these persons sitting in these positions stepping down and demonstrating an incapability to handle the crime situation that currently exists in Trinidad and Tobago?
Forthwith. As professionals, sometimes we need to be honest with ourselves. We need to know when something is beyond us, when we cannot manage a situation, especially with regards to our Minister of Homeland Security. It's been a year now. And regardless of what the media asks, regardless of what happens across the nation, we have not gotten any type of policy, any kind of action that we can say, well, yes, this has been geared towards curbing crime, or this has worked in this regard. We have had absolutely abysmal performance from both of them, especially the Minister of Homeland Security. And at this point, I think if the leadership of this nation, if either of them, the Minister of Homeland Security, the Commissioner of Police, really care about the nation, they will do the right thing and step aside. At some point, we have to say, listen, this is beyond me. I am not equipped to handle this. I do not have the remedy, and step aside and allow someone else to do it. At some point, self-interest, love of office, love of benefits has to be subsided, has to come second or last to the national interest. And this is where we are at this point. Persons really need to know when they lack the competence.
Now, even as it pertains to what is happening, because I don't even want to separate it, because it's just a lot on a whole that's happening with the different stories. Where Trinidad and Tobago sits right now in the international context, and even as these stories are brought forward in the international news, whether you're looking from the BBC aspect or you're looking from Al Jazeera, and seeing what the world is talking about and how our country is being framed, it's being framed as less than civilized, because where in the world does someone walk into any type of police station that should obviously have a CCTV camera footage to show It should be well secured on every side. There should be emergency buttons that a police officer can press at the desk to say that, you know, there's harm or they're in danger or there's a breach in security. So what type of policies are being put at place, whether it's at the municipality level or at the TTPS level, that causes Trinidad and Tobago to be laughed at or looked at as a less than civilized nation towards the rest of the world?
And that's the thing. It seems like we have no policy in place, or if the policies are in place, clearly they are not being implemented. And even coming out of the media briefing yesterday, we were not given any real assurances that any of these policies will be improved, they will be implemented, they will be increased. As you rightfully said, Ms. Felix, usually there should be strict surveillance, there's protocol. I don't know where in the world that you go and you're able to access an armory just like that. Even one officer, let's say it really is one or two municipal police officers who conducted the heist. There's nowhere I know that you can just go without checks and balances and one officer could just access an armory. And you're right when you say that the rest of the world, they're looking on at us and they're laughing at us and considering already what our foreign policy has devolved into, to now have this on top of that, to have a prime minister who previously called us a lawless dump, to have a prime minister who would have basically put us at odds with the rest of CARICOM, who would have aligned herself with a less than favorable administration internationally, who would have continued to make rogue statements with regards to our nation, with regards to other nations, and then to have something like this happen and we have absolutely no handle on it. And then what is worse is the fact that we have this laissez-faire response coming from the government. Every single citizen, regardless of what side of the political divide you fall on, we can all agree that this is alarming, that we have had a lot to deal with, and this seems like a crescendo at this point. And then we just have a prime minister, a minister of Homeland Security, we have what's the next one? The Commissioner of Police, and then even the Minister National. You know, it just seems like everyone has a laissez-faire and they would almost try to fool us into thinking that it's business as usual, that all is well, rather than acknowledging that things are out of hand and banding together, meeting with the Security Council to see what can be done immediately, what the nation should have heard very early yesterday, not via a message on Facebook at what o'clock last night, but very early in the day. We should have had our Prime Minister addressing this nation with some very clear directions, very clear directives saying these are the steps we intend to take. This is the emergency actions that we are going to put in place to address what we're seeing happening here in Trinidad and Tobago. Instead, we're being told a small thing, go about your business, nothing really to worry about. Almost like, I don't know if it is that they're burying their heads in the sand. I don't know if it is that they're thinking that if they ignore it, it will just go away. I don't know if they're thinking that they could just fool us into thinking that nothing is happening because they're worried about popularity and public perception. I mean, that's already well out the door. The nation is crying out. The nation is disgusted. The nation is fed up at this point. So even trying to gain popularity at this point is a lost cause. I don't know what it is. I don't know if there's some kind of concerted effort coming from the top to destabilize and destroy the nation. At this point, you have to really wonder, when your own people who claim to love the country, who claim to be in charge of the country, are willing to sit down and look at us devolve into this state. This morning when I logged on, I saw where the Grenadian media was saying, pray for Trinidad and Tobago. Brothers and sisters, see what's happening, you know. They see how bad we have it here. Other nations are literally saying, pray for brothers and sisters in Trinidad and Tobago. Yet our leadership is saying, nothing wrong. It almost seems like it's a deliberate attempt to destabilize and mash up the country. I don't know what the plan is.
Understood. Now, we have heard from a number of persons on social media who are asking whether or not a curfew is needed or necessary. And the Prime Minister responded, indicating that that would not be necessary at this time. I want to ask two questions as it pertains to the curfew and as it pertains to the composition of the current cabinet. in previous governments, we've seen shifts, moves, shuffles happening. Do you think that it is high time or a critical period whereby this current administration needs to consider reshuffling the cabinet or even bringing, a fresh face in to handle national security and also make sure and touch on the curfew as well?
Curfew issue. Let me start with the cabinet reshuffle. Yes, and yes, absolutely yes. And this is what governance is. Sometimes we have to admit we tried something, it didn't work, we got it wrong, we've learned from that, and now we're going to go this direction. It is high time. I think we have seen a number of underperforming ministers, and given what is happening, we can no longer give a chance. It's been a year. Persons have had the opportunity to demonstrate competence. Things have gotten worse. We've had abysmal performance, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with saying at this point, we need to move persons, we need greater expertise, we need greater capacity. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Actually, I think the nation will welcome such a move. It is something that the Prime Minister should have thought about since about 6 months ago. But nonetheless, we are where we are. It is something that I think is essential at this point of time. Crime is out of control. It is very clear that those at the helm are unable to deal with it. And if the Prime Minister has any modicum of care, concern, and respect left for the citizens of this country, she would immediately consider and effect a cabinet reshuffle. We can't have a Minister of Homeland Security who, in response to concerns about what's happening, blowing air into a bag and laughing off and telling reporters, I love you. This is serious matters. Persons are concerned. People are starting to flee the country. You're hearing people saying that, hey, we're looking for ways out because things just bad here. And you are brushing it off like it's no big deal. Every Monday morning, you go on the TTPS website to check the crime statistics. The website is down. They're deliberately not publishing the numbers, and then they come with some fudge numbers. It's just a mess. This is not how you govern. You do not govern by deceiving people.
Understood.
And as regards the curfew, I've heard the calls for the curfew. Unfortunately, I don't have sufficient information or expertise. That's my honest answer to make a determination. I think that would be one for the National Security Council to determine, for the experts to determine whether the curfew would be effective. I see, personally, I have no challenge with it. I don't have anything against a curfew. I know that there's obviously economic implications for businesses, that kind of thing. But given where we are, I think it's something that should be considered, and if sufficient weight is given to it, if the experts determine that this is necessary at this time, then if this is what we need to do to kind of curb it, then so be it. That's what we need to do. Any kind of radical move that we can make at this time to get things under control is definitely a welcome one. As I said, I believe that this has to be dealt with on various levels. It's not just the average bad boy on the street. Right. That's the problems. Yeah. So even with the curfew, we need to look a little higher up and dig a little deeper to really weed out the issue.
Right. And even as it pertains to the fact that we are currently in a state of emergency, we've seen the quadruple murder that took place last night in Mova. Persons might say, well, these criminals no longer respect the order, where before they wouldn't murder women or children. And they clearly don't respect an SOE. So persons may say, well, this is the reason why we should have really gotten that zone bill passed, and a heavy hand is needed within some of these communities. What are your perspectives on that?
I'll say two things where that's concerned. We are under a state of emergency. This is the third one at this point, third or fourth. At this point, you stop losing count. We've just been on a perpetual state of emergency at this point. Let me just add that when the government announced the last state of emergency, the Minister of Defense, made it very clear that his officers are able to execute ZOSO type powers. So the increased patrols, the increased police presence in hotspot areas, all those things were implemented. There was nothing stopping the minister from implementing those, and I believe that they intended to, or to some extent they did. So ZOSO or no ZOSO, the government, the TTPS, had a wide range of powers to deal with what they need to deal with. We saw what the kind of powers of arrest, searches, seizures, detention looked like when we got the last SOE announcement. So there has been heightened powers granted to the TTPS. The effectiveness of implementing them, how they're being used, I think that is the one that's up to question. So it's not a matter of Zoso or no Zoso. The powers are there. They're just not being implemented effectively either. Or as you mentioned, criminals just not bothered. It's just so out of control that even that is not working at this point. The second thing I want to say about Zoso, we are seeing firsthand the lack of accountability coming out from the TTPS and from the Defense Force.
Seems that we have had a dip in our connection with Senator Melanie Rajman. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break right here and we'll be back with much more conversation after this. See you soon.
How it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show, and everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. They better look up below. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show.
Office looking professional.
Hello?
Hey, bandit!
Is this Charles and Charles Inc.? I'm your new receptionist.
Oh, yes. Welcome, welcome. This is Charles and Charles.
So you're Charles?
And Charles.
Okay then. Well, I see you're ready for business.
Oh, yes, yes. I have my favorite photo, my desk, and a spot for George.
George?
On the doubles, man. Have my marriage certificate, my cow certificate, my divorce certificate.
Tax certificate?
Taxi? No, I used to pull bull.
No. Tax certificate.
Tax? Yes, I had one of that in the last office, you know, but I lost it. No, wait, I had one in my mother's house, but I think the cow eats it.
Look, Mr. Charles.
And Charles?
Do you pay your taxes? It is critical to your business. You should call Anderson in Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah, they provide tax and accounting services, and their corporate secretarial services. The best.
Really? How you know?
Well, my last boss lost his whole business and I lost my work.
Oh.
You know, there's a tax amnesty going on now.
Really? So I can pay all my back taxes?
And don't forget to call Anderson so you could save your business and I could keep my work. Oh God, no. This picture has got to go.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. I have been chatting with Senator Melanie Rajman. And this morning we continue our conversation, but we are shifting gears a bit from the crime situation in Trinidad and Tobago. And now we're talking about the Tobago Council of the PNM. Good morning and welcome back, Senator.
Thank you, Ms. Felix. Good morning again to all of viewers out there.
Right. Now, if my memory serves me right, we had that conversation in your previous visit where I asked, would you throw your hat in the ring? Would you be interested? And your response was that you would support those who put themselves up for governance, but we've seen a slight shift, to you moving from the back and coming to the front. What would have caused such a shift?
Sure. Two things. I think one would have been some reflection and introspection. I think that the Tobago Council is at a very critical juncture at this point, and I think it would be bereft of me to not get involved, to not be a part of rebuilding the party. So as much as, I said, I'm willing to support from the back, I'm willing to be there with whoever forms the executive, I thought the time had really come for me to directly get involved, to take some responsibility, especially as the opposition senator coming out of Tobago. I do have a professional and a political interest in ensuring that we have a very strong Tobago Council. As you know, we do not have a voice in the assembly right now. So I need to know that we have a very strong, a very vibrant, a growing Tobago Council. And to ensure that is important not to just look on from the sidelines or to support in the background, but to also get involved and do some of the heavy lifting, do some of the legwork to make sure that that happens. I've also had conversations with persons close to me, several candidates vying for positions as well, members of the Tobago Council, someone that mentors me politically very closely, and I decided it was time to get involved.
All right. Tell us a bit about the role that you are vying for during this internal election.
Sure. So I'm vying for the role of Lady Vice Chairman of the Tobago Council. My focus, if elected, would be to really re-energize the female membership in particular. I have been someone who's quite passionate about female inclusion, female empowerment. So this is going to be one of my areas of focus, ensuring that members within the party, they feel included, they're empowered to take care of themselves, they're empowered to be a part of leadership, they're empowered to participate in all the programs, activities, and opportunities afforded to all of us across Tobago, either as private business owners, also as persons who might want to take advantage of opportunities available in the assembly. So that's going to be my focus. Also, as I said, inclusion, bringing the female membership together, re-energizing the female memberships at all levels of the party.
Right. And there are persons within your party who have stated dissatisfaction with the idea of having a slate and feeling as though such an approach can cause a divisive type of internal politics that would only further fracture the party. Tell us a bit about why you think it was important to be a part of Team Unity and to even form that Team Unity during this internal election.
Sure. So let me start by saying this. It is acknowledged the concerns of some members of the party with regards to slates. It's public knowledge, the kind of division that we've had in the past where the Tobago Council is concerned, where we've had various factions vying for leadership. So naturally, persons having seen that, having had the experiences before, they would have concerns. Let me then very quickly segue into saying this. What I have observed over this very short internal election cycle has been nothing short of promising and quite beautiful. We have seen interactions among all the candidates. We've seen independent candidates having meetings where members of Team Unity were invited and attended and given the opportunity to introduce themselves and engage with the membership, and vice versa. Team Unity has had meetings where other candidates have been invited and they have attended. We were able to interact, and those members were also able to engage with the membership. So what we have seen is a shift shift in the dynamic. We have seen a shift in the approach, the attitude, and the performance of all candidates, especially the candidates vying for leadership of the Tobago Council, and how they approach internal elections, slate or no slate, team or no team. We've definitely seen a shift in how that's done. We have seen a certain level of maturity, professionalism, and commitment to working together as one PNM. And for me, I think that is very heartening. I know that there's some whispers on the ground. I take this opportunity very quickly, encourage members to not let this internal election divide us. We have an amazing cadre of candidates across the divide lined up, ready to serve this party. And come April 27th, the work begins, regardless of who forms the membership. We should be proud of all the candidates. So whatever the disposition of the Tobago Council's executive, we would have the best and most capable, the strongest in place to really rebuild the party. Now, very quickly, in terms of why team unity, we have established 10 pillars upon which we would want to work. There's a roadmap we call it the roadmap to 2030, and we're under the leadership of Mr. Kelvon Morris. Now, for me, on a very personal level, what I would say is this: Kelvon is someone who I have known for years upon years, and who I have observed his growth. I have observed his development in politics. I have watched his performance as minority leader. I know that it has been no easy feat, but I have seen him handle it admirably. I've seen the way that he's connected with members across the party, members in his constituency, members throughout the rank and file of the PNM. I have seen how inclusive he is, and that really heartens me, because I am one of those persons who, strongly believe that for the party to really kind of grow, for the party to get back to its rightful self, to its right self, we need all hands on deck. So I've seen Kelvon in a very organic way, in and outside of election season, really reach out to various members, reach out to different groups, and be able to connect the party in a certain way. So that has resonated with me, as well as the 10 pillars upon which we intend to rebuild the party. That has also resonated with me. In terms of decision to have a slate or no slate, one way or the other, the membership's going to vote for who they think are the most competent persons. But I think one of the values of having a team, I wouldn't call it a slate, of having a team, is that already you have a group of persons who are able to work well together, which is something that previous dispositions of the council would have struggled with. You have a group of persons committed to one vision, of course, giving way to what the membership actually wants, in terms of what they want to see play out over the next 4 years, over the next 2 years, or whatever that might be. But it gives you some predictability on what you get. Most importantly for me is just having that gel, having a group of people who are willing to work well together to make sure that the party rebuilds in the right way.
Understood. Well, Senator Robert Rajman, we want to thank you so much for being here with us this morning, giving us those perspectives on the crime situation in Trinidad and Tobago, giving us your opinion that you believe that a cabinet reshuffle is needed forthwith. And so we look forward to see how things progress as it pertains to national security and policies coming out from this administration. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take a quick break right here and we'll be back after this. See you soon.
Are you in a dispute with a registered investment service provider of the TTSEC? Or maybe you're the victim of an investment scam? You can lodge a complaint or submit an anonymous tip to the Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission. Download our Investor Protection app or go to ttsec.org.tt to access our complaint form or submit an anonymous tip. Write a clear summary of your complaint. Submit copies of supporting documents along with the originals for verification. Provide a copy of the feedback received from the entity regarding your complaint. All investor complaints or scam reports submitted by the public are acknowledged and reviewed by the TTSEC. Investigations are pursued based on the outcome of the review. Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission, protecting the interests of investors and the public. You invest, we protect. Everyone benefits.
Our world is filled with rhythm. Rhythm that's unapologetic, infectious, timeless. Rhythm is commitment in action. It's how we show up for each other with unrelenting support that goes the distance. Rhythm lives in the tiny beats of our most intimate moments and the seismic roars of our biggest achievements. Rhythm is resilience in motion. So even when things go out of sync, we do what it takes to bring the rhythm back. At Flow, we understand your rhythm because we live it. That's why we're dedicated to building a network as resilient as you, with a team of familiar faces working every day to keep you on beat. You're at the heart of everything we do, and our commitment is to keep your rhythm flowing, no matter what.
Trinidad is my home, and I always say charity begins at home. So I'm just delighted to bring this team of dedicated volunteers. Part of our motto is that we just don't send relief. We hand deliver it with care and compassion. And as I would always tell my team, the best way to find oneself is to lose oneself in the service of others.
Be viewing Caribbean Medical TV on this station.
The Caribbean is more than just a place. It's a spirit, resilient, vibrant, and full of possibility. Rooted in connection, driven by community. It's who we are at the heart of everything we do. For over 150 years, we've been right here, invested in the Caribbean, its people, and its progress. And today, we're going even further. Liberty Business, rooted in the Caribbean, committed to you.
Quartz is well known as the Caribbean's largest retailer, providing consumers for generations with the very best products to enhance their homes. This year, we bring our expertise to businesses. Quartz Business Solutions will serve small, medium, and large companies with the very best products at the most competitive prices, backed by warranties and after-sales support. Hoteliers, office managers, restaurants, and so many more. Quartz Business Solutions, a brand of the Unicomer Group.
Okay. 335, 336, 337, 338, 339.
Counting on your fingers again. No wonder you lose your business.
Grandpa, thanks for helping me start over.
You not lucky in business, you know. As a child, you tried to sell hog plum. That failed. As a teenager, you and your boyfriend tried to break into the jewelry business. But hey, where that boy end up?
He live in Aruka in the Grove. The golden one.
Oh, child, if you want to get into business, you have to have your financial records intact. But hey, do you know your numbers?
Of course, 624 333.
No, child, your numbers, your ratios, your equity ratios. You have a financial handicap.
What?
You need to see somebody about that. Anderson.
Who?
Anderson in Trinidad and Tobago, they offer tax and accounting services. They know about financial management.
Grandpa, I started this business with nothing.
And nothing is what you will end up with unless you call Anderson Services. Here.
Okay, this card is nice.
Yeah.
What's this?
Your rental fee. Have business will pay rent. Hot and groovy in the sugar party.
Hair goals, we've got 'em. At S&R Hair Fantasy, we provide a wide variety of quality hair, the latest hair accessories, adult toys, skin lightening products, female underwear, and much more under one roof. Check us out on Shelbourne Street in Plymouth or call us at 317-0808. We're open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. S&R Hair Fantasy for queens who know exactly what they want.
The Caribbean is more than just a place. It's a spirit, resilient, vibrant, and full of possibility. Rooted in...
Hi everyone, I'm Marissa Benin. Coming up, Jamaica, here we come. These women of vision are on a mission. Ride the waves and savor the flavor, otherwise known as spending quality time in Antigua and Barbuda. fun times, plus the food that sets St. Kitts and Nevis apart, all available under one roof. Cue the entertainment and the food. It's Chinese Spring Festival time. It's all next on this station.
Our world is filled with rhythm. Rhythm that's unapologetic, infectious, timeless. Rhythm is commitment in action. It's how we show up for each other with unrelenting support that goes the distance. Rhythm lives in the tiny beats of our most intimate moments and the seismic roars of our biggest achievements. Rhythm is resilience in motion. So even when things go out of sync, we do what it takes to bring the rhythm back. At Flow, we understand your rhythm because we live it. That's why we're dedicated to building a network as resilient as you, with a team of familiar faces working every day to keep you on beat. You're at the heart of everything we do, and our commitment is to keep your rhythm flowing, no matter what.
Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. Ladies and gentlemen, this morning we jump straight ahead into our next conversation, and this morning I have joining me virtually Mr. Wendell Eversley, who is the uncle of the young lady WPC Eversley, Anusha Eversley, who was shot over the weekend. Good morning and welcome. I hope that I pronounced her name correctly. Hello? Mr. Eversley, can you hear me? I'm unable to hear you at this time. I'll give them some time to rectify that. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you're now joining us and you are unaware of the situation, there was a deadly breach of security that took place at the San Fernando Municipal Police Station over the weekend, where WPC Eversley was found murdered inside of the station on Sunday morning, and over 50 Glock pistols, shotguns, and 3,000 rounds of ammunition was stolen from the armory. And currently there are 2 municipal officers that are assisting in this investigation. Ladies and gentlemen, this morning we're going to be chatting a bit about that with her uncle, who is no stranger to us here. He's a advocate that we often conversate with on a number of different matters and topics. And even recently we chatted about his request for that, putting in that freedom of information request for information as it pertains to the contract agreement between NGC and Watson Duke. But this morning he's here in the capacity of a concerned family member, as his family now tries to navigate this very difficult period of time. Now, this is something that no one expects. No one expects to leave home and not get back home safely. But particularly no one expects to leave home as an officer who is tasked with supporting or keeping safety and security within a community, and you yourself in that position not being safe in the confines of what should be the most safest place within the community. When something happens, persons immediately think to run into a church or run into a police station and flee and seek cover or safety or security from officers. But if the officers themselves, as they sit in these stations, are not safe or secure, where are we heading as a country? Ladies and gentlemen, we take a quick break right here and we'll be back with much more on this conversation. See you soon.
Trinidad is my home, and I always say charity begins at home. So I'm just delighted to bring this team of dedicated volunteers. Part of our motto is that we just don't send relief. We hand deliver it with care and compassion. And as I would always tell my team, the best way to find oneself is to lose oneself in the service of others.
Be viewing Caribbean Medical TV on this station.
The Caribbean is more than just a place. It's a spirit, resilient, vibrant, and full of possibility. Rooted in connection, driven by community. It's who we are and the heart of everything we do. For over 150 years, we've been right here, invested in the Caribbean, its people, and its progress. And today, we're going even further. Liberty Business, rooted in the Caribbean, committed to you.
Who died over the weekend at the San Fernando Municipality Police Station. Good morning and welcome. Good morning and welcome, Mr. Eversley. I know that we...
Yeah, good morning.
Right. So tell us a bit about how your family is dealing with this tragedy at this particular time. As I said previously, no one leaves home and expects not to come back, but no one expects particularly to be working in a police station that should be the safest place in the community and have such a security breach take place. I mean, to be shot at in a police station is almost unthinkable.
First, I must say good morning to the people of Tobago. I always say Tobago is like my second home. And I must say, I'm still in shock. I cannot believe what took place. His family, Eversley's family, is also in a period of real sadness. And I must say also to that, when I look at and it's got 3 children, a daughter who is about to write CAPE exam in 2.5 weeks' time, a son who is in Form 2, and a last daughter who's in Standard 1. It's really heartbreaking to know that their mom left for work, expecting her to come back home. And the way she was murdered in a police station in San Fernando. Yesterday when I look at her daughter who about to write CAPE exams in 2.5 weeks' time, talking to her, saying, "Uncle, everything is all right. I'm all right. I'm all right." That's all the words coming out from her. But I know deep down she's grieving. I am not a counselor. But I think when she gets counseling, what she's feeling will come out. I am right now still in shock.
What does this situation say for where we are as a society and as it pertains to national security? Are you satisfied with the response of the Commissioner of Police, Mr. Guevara, Are you satisfied with the response of the Minister of Homeland Security and the Minister of National Security, and even the response from the Prime Minister as it pertains to this case?
I would say this in 2 words. It's an indictment on the state. It's an indictment on the state. The last time I could recall a situation like this happened in a police station in Trinidad and Tobago. It was in 1990 when they drove in to the Forreston Police Headquarters, blew it up. I was a hostage in the parliament. History is something we must learn from the past. And if we don't deal with it, we bound to repeat it. When they had 60 guns and over 4,000 rounds of ammunition taken out from a municipal police station, I don't care what they say is a police station, because when you look at the color of this police station, the municipal police station is the same color as the TTPS police station. When you look at the uniform they wear, it's the same uniform as the TTPS. When you look at the vehicles they drive, it's the same vehicle they drive as the TTPS. So when you want to separate from one from the other, it shows clearly something is not right. We're talking about national security of Trinidad and Tobago. We're talking about a police station in a city, in one of the cities of Trinidad and Tobago. We have 2 cities, San Fernando and Port of Spain. We're talking about thousands rounds of ammunition, and over 60 guns.
And the question has been asked whether or not Anushka was just collateral damage for a bigger, more profitable scheme to be able to obtain those firearms and those ammunitions from that station. Was she just in the way and had to be removed as a hindrance? Whereas persons are saying that it was a betrayal, an internal betrayal from her colleague. Do you think that this had was it a personal attack? Did it have anything to do with her personally, or was she simply collateral damage in this matter?
Yes, we heard the betrayal coming from the Prime Minister in her statement, in her press release that she put out. Right, but and it's got to be killed. Like the public wasn't expecting her to be the only. So she probably knows who are the person. And I decided to take her out of the way. Yesterday at the family home around minutes of 4, Deputy Commissioner of Police, Susan Martin, visited us. I asked certain questions. Even her daughter asked her certain questions. I'm not going to repeat what the commissioner told us. But she told me there are an investigation, active investigation going on. They will get to the root of it. But it's really, really very good.
I want to take this time out from the team here at Tobago Updates to send condolences to the entire Eversley family and to the other persons who have been directly impacted and affected by this unique tragedy. Tell us quickly before we wrap up our conversation this morning, where does the family go from here, and where does the policy, advocacy, what is expected from here, because we're in a state of emergency and that has not helped the situation as it pertains to serious crime in Trinidad and Tobago. It has not deterred crime and criminality. So where do you think the government of Trinidad and Tobago should go from here, and where does your family go from here? Would you be suing the state? Can we see legal action coming out from the Eversley family? We'd like to know.
I thought that is fullest from our mind, but seeing the state. Right now, we are seeing blood flowing in the streets of Trinidad and Tobago. I will repeat it. We are seeing blood flowing in the streets of Trinidad and Tobago. We have a Minister of Homeland Security. Everything for him is like a wiggle, a week. I do not know if we have the right set of people in the right set of office operating where our national security is concerned in this country called Trinidad and Tobago. And I think it's time, when they say, when UNC bring everybody with, I think it's time we get it. People with the right intelligence to operate in the Ministry of Homeland Security. And the current minister, I think it's time for him. If he know, not if, I think it's time for him to say, I give up, I am capable when his job is concerned, and get it. The correct person to tackle this ministry in moving forward. I remember calling on Fitzgerald many times to be fired. And I'm seeing it today. The Minister of Homeland Security should be fired. We don't want a minister when we see him just in the media. It's like a joke. David rather sang a song about 20 years ago, a madman rant. Well, they must listen to that song. Are we seeing people operating in positions, operating as what David rather said in that song? A madman rant. They say in that song, somebody promising to fix the crime. Somebody promising a better life. Somebody promising more jobs. But when you hear the shout, it's a madman rant. That's what we are seeing today in Trinidad and Tobago. The Minister of Homeland Security said he's mourning his friend, his businessman friend in San Fernando. You all remember just about a couple of weeks ago, a domestic dispute between a family resulted in the wife killing the husband. You see how swift justice files reach on the desk. Wife was sent home to go and see about her children. Minister say he mourning. Joshua Samuel was murdered. Everybody see, the world see what took place. His common law wife paralyzed in a range chair. His 5-year-old daughter has to watch her mother for the rest of her life in a wheelchair. Who will attend to that 5-year-old? The officers were sent for counseling, but Christopher Samuel's son was murdered. Here, mother is watching her in a wheelchair for the rest of her life. And her daughter, her 5-year-old daughter, has no one, no parents to take her to school when they take her. Who send them for counseling? Who send them for counseling? Who are attending to them? How come that file in reach on the director of publication desk as yet? So we are seeing in this country who have more corns to feed more fowl will get justice swift and fast. Something is not adding up. I am saying, and sometimes I believe that Satan take over our land, and we have operatives in Parliament.
Understand.
When I on the streets, I just be on the streets day to day, meeting and interacting with people. Things is not right. You hear the people when they come up to me, they say, Mr. Eversley, what could we do again to change? Who were you listening? You hear people from members of the UN who meeting me also and concerned about their own government ministers. They're saying some unfit, and I'm not talking about the ordinary people from the UNC or the grassroots people. People who are lawyers, people who are engineers, people who are managers. They meet them to telling the wrong person. Go and tell it to your hierarchy of your party. And when we reach a situation when we cannot talk the truth hurts. But you must talk the truth so that even the truth hurts. The people will know that we are standing for something. But are we seeing that today in this country called Trinidad and Tobago? You know what we're concentrating on right now? To get rid of a CARICOM secretary. You know what we're concentrating right now? To know what's going on in America and Iran and Israel. And while here in our country, our internal affairs, we don't want to fix it. This is the problem that we are facing right now in Trinidad and Tobago. They don't want to fix it. People who we elect to do the job. You said give you the chance to do the job. Then you should be able to work with the people, listen to the people, and do the job. But we are not seeing it. We are seeing people in pain. We are seeing people hurting. We are seeing people grieving. We are seeing people mourning. Nobody cares. In a state of emergency.
Understood. Mr. Eversley, we want to thank you so much for your time this morning. And again, we are extending our sincerest condolences and sending love, peace, and comfort to the Eversley family at this time. And we are hoping that some level of satisfaction comes from the way that this matter is dealt with and that swift justice is also served. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you so much for your time this morning. We want to thank you for your likes, your shares, and your comments, and all that you have been doing and continue to do to make Tobago Updates the #1 broadcaster here on the island of Tobago. Again, I am Chanel Felix, and have